Alright guys, so we're out here messing around with the SilencerCo 36M and its K configuration or its short configuration. I'm going to be just kind of messing around on just handguns today. I'll be testing her out on 4 different handguns: the SIG 365, the Glock 19, the Shadow Systems XR920, and then also a Smith & Wesson M&P. But let's go ahead and get into it. We'll mess around with both supers and subs. So cycled all 6 of them reliably, did not get a last round slide lock, but let's go ahead and mess around and try her out with some of the other guns. But I guess all 4 pistols did good with the supers or the 115s and 124 FMJs. It's a mixed bag of ammo I had. Note, I left the Shadow System for running last because last week I actually took this can out and I was shooting a little bit with that particular pistol, and it was actually a little sluggish. It wasn't always going fully into action. Today, so far, so good. It's running as well as on all the other pistols. So last week was its initial run. So I don't know if it was just a break-in process of the booster spring or what it might have been, but so far we're doing good. But let's go ahead and transition into subsonics, and I'll be running 158 grain PPU subs. So I kind of felt the sluggishness, but it went into action every single time. This one I did have some problems last week with both the supers and the subs. It just felt a little bit sluggish, and then also there was a few times where it would be like right about there or something like that, and we'd just have to bump it back into action. But so far so good as far as today, with all 4 pistols shooting the supers and the subs reliably, and all 4 of my guns are OEM stock. Nothing internally has been changed out on any of them. All right, guys, so I forgot to give you guys the baseline. So here's 2 of the FMJs through the Glock 19. All right, you guys, now we're going to go ahead and simulate shooting indoors in a confined space such as the vehicle, or try to simulate being indoors such as your house for home defense. Only going to do this out of 1 pistol. I picked the Glock 19 being one of the more popular or more common ones of the ones I brought in out. We'll start off with 2 rounds unsuppressed for kind of a baseline, and then we'll jump into shooting it suppressed. For reference, obviously the camera's on this end, but the microphone will be picking up audio from kind of at the shooter's ear. All right, guys, let's move into suppress. All right, guys, we're going to move into suppress, and we're going to shoot off 6 rounds of supers, mixed bag once again of 115, 124 grains. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to like it. I'm going to start off without ear probe, but just in case I got some standing nearby, let's go ahead and get into it. Not bad. Yeah, let's protect your hearing. Once it's gone, and I do have a slight ringing. All right, now 6 rounds of the 158 grain PPU subsonics. Not too bad. As far as 9mm cans inside of a vehicle indoors, I've definitely heard quieter. The SilencerCo Mega 9K, I've shot that one in the vehicles, and that one was definitely a lot more enjoyable. Plus multiple other ones. But let's go ahead and move it on from here. Alright, you guys, just because we're going to go ahead and try her out now on an M&P 22 pistol. Know that a tubeless or non-user serviceable can is always not recommended for shooting the filthy rimfire, but we're going to go ahead and mess around with it today. These will be some supers, and I haven't even tried it yet to see if it'll cycle. Nice. Try trying it out now with the subs. All right, you guys, I got 3 of those subsonics left for the 22. But you guys, going to try and wrap this up and make this short and quick. But the 36M on a handgun, if you're looking for a dedicated handgun silencer, I would say no, look somewhere else. This sucker is the heaviest handgun silencer I've experienced with so far. If you're going to stick with SilencerCo, I would recommend something like their Spectre 9 or their Mega 9K, or also going with something like a rugged Obsidian 9. All amazing silencers, and there's some other good ones out there as well. But now let's say if you're looking for a multi-use suppressor because you're only going to buy one, or you're only going to buy a couple and you want to maximize their capability, then yes, I would say this thing is awesome. Out of the box, it's designed ready to go on a rifle with the addition of a purchase of a muzzle device for it to match up with its ASR device. So as far as to get it on a handgun, there is also some additional accessories that you're going to need to purchase. One of those will be the booster assembly, and what you're going to need is the SilencerCo Charlie booster assembly, and then also a piston to match the corresponding thread pitch of whatever your threaded barrels are and everything. As far as that booster, I'll leave the part number somewhere down here on the bottom for you. And as far as the piston's concerned, I didn't go with SilencerCo. I went with Rugged's half by 28 piston, and that one fits for all of my actual handguns and everything. And I've had zero use with utilizing the Rugged piston within this actual platform and everything. Suppressibility as far as running them on handguns. Supers. Somewhere in the beginning portion of this video, I would say the video actually made it a little bit quieter than what it actually is. You know, never trust the audio from these videos and everything. Even though I'm saying it was a little bit louder than what the video put out with those supers, it did still do a really good job of suppressing them. Out in the open, I felt comfortable enough to shoot it without ear pro, and would definitely recommend wearing some sort of ear pro if you're shooting in any sort of confined environment and everything, though, as it was definitely a little bit spicier then. As far as suppressing with subsonics, I thought this can did an amazing job and sounded really good. And I would say the video, the audio in this video did a really good job of portraying that and everything. Shootability. It's 1.57 or something like that in diameter. And part of the reason why I tried 4 different guns is not just to check the reliability on those 4 different guns, but I also have different sighting on all 4 of those, as far as standard height irons, such as this Glock 19, to suppressor height ones, and then also red dots and everything. Shooting with red dots, I found easy. I've had zero issues with shooting with red dots, as they just see right up and over the top. The only problem with me is there's definitely is blowback with this one, and as it would come out of the, as the slide will come out of action and everything, it will coat your lens of your actual red dot. Shootability with irons. So with this one, of all my pistols I brought out, this one has the lowest or standard height iron sight height, and it's nothing more than a shoot through. I can't see over the top of it as far as my alignment of my irons and everything, but just know it is capable. It just adds some difficulty, especially on smaller targets or further away targets and stuff like that. Going back to that blowback, wasn't paying too much attention on the other guns and everything except for the red dot ones, but I did notice today's shooting experience. I was getting a lot of the blowback coming out of this side here, and as well as the opposing side on the mag release, and then also right up here is where my support thumb would be on top of what was coming out, puffing me in the face and everything every time the gun was reciprocating and going in and out of action. If you've never shot a handgun suppress, you should always wear iPro, but I would definitely recommend shooting with iPro, using iPro when shooting a handgun suppress, because you will definitely get not just plumes of smoke, but also just chunks of shavings, whatever, brass shavings and just junk coming back into your face and everything. So just to be safe, make sure you have your iPro on and everything. I think I'm rambling on now, so I think I'm going to cut it out there. I think I covered everything. Definitely recommend this one. Just I wouldn't recommend it though as a dedicated handgun silencer, only due to primarily its weight. All right, you guys, thanks and have a good one. Bye.